Welcome back to the Driveway Beers podcast with Mike and Alex. As always, we appreciate you listening. Please rate us on all the podcast platforms. Like, subscribe, comment, share wherever else you're listening, and enjoy the show. All right, welcome back to another episode. We appreciate you coming back as always. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. I want to thank Adam Chubbuck with Douglas Realty in Pasadena, Maryland. TACMD.com. That's TACMD.com. Team Alpha Charlie with Douglas Realty in Pasadena, Maryland. I want to thank him for his continued support of the show. The real estate market is definitely getting more dicey, especially in the Washington, D.C. area, and we'll get to that in a minute. And you're going to need a good real estate agent to guide you through either buying or selling, depending on your situation. And you definitely don't want to pick someone who you don't trust or that may or may not know the ins and outs of real estate in the local area like he does. So go to tacmd.com and schedule your appointment with Adam just to sit down. If you end up not even, if you call and make an appointment and don't go with him, that's fine. He is going to give you his honest opinion about the current situation, and that's all you can ask anyone for. So go to tacmd.com, tacmd.com, and schedule your appointment with Adam. Let him know we sent you. All right, so mentioned in that little ad read there that we were going to talk about some local stuff because local for us is Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And
28 miles away. If
you paid attention to the Twitterverse, they want all of D.C. and the surrounding area to burn in hell.
Yeah.
And as someone who lives in that area, I get the sentiment. D.C.'s been fucking over people for however many years. We don't even know how deep that goes, right? So there is justifiable angst, anger toward DC politicians or whatever. People think that DC's only federal workers. Well, I mean, between Maryland, DC, Virginia, I want to say it's about 300,000 people in the area of 3.3 million. I'm sorry, 2.7 million.
Yeah. I
believe it's the right number if you exclude service members.
Okay.
So federal civilian workforce is in that 2.5 million range. But yes, this area would be impacted the most. It depends on how many people they let go of, but we'll get to all that later. What is your take as a non-federal employee? Mm-hmm. And we'll get to my employment later. It's going to be breaking news today. You are not a federal employee.
Correct.
In this area. We're not going to say where you work because of the sensitive nature of what you do.
Yeah.
But we can at least say you're not a federal employee.
Right, you can say that.
Yeah, that doesn't.
I'm also not a professional baseball player.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we're really narrowing it down for the people, but at least not being a federal employee, you are from the outside looking in, but also part of the area.
Yeah.
What has your take been on what you've seen and I'm not going to say what I think it is.
Yeah.
But what do you think of what it is?
So as an outsider who's like connected, it is, I agree with the fact that the federal government is too big. It's the largest organization that has ever been devised, created, ever in the history of organizations. It is, but I think they're going about it, so it should be made smaller and more efficient. I think that's a reasonable expectation for anyone that wants their government to be more efficient, more, and smaller. And then it would be one thing if it was so big and you contacted someone at, I don't know, IRS or Department of Education, whatever you're trying to do, and you got an instant response and it was done correctly, quickly. But, when you have this giant thing and then they're like, oh, please allow 6 to 8 weeks for processing. Like, what are you all doing? If it's good, and then we know that a lot of this stuff's automated anyway. So people get frustrated that way. But I think they're going about it the wrong way. I don't think they should be. It's almost like you've got the huge problem, which is the waste, but you're going after the little guy. You're going after the GS9 clerk somewhere who's making, what, 50, 60 grand a year.
Right.
Who's living paycheck to paycheck just like the rest of us.
Right.
Like, I think the people that aren't in the area think that all these federal employees are fat cats in, just soaking up overtime and crazy benefits and all this other stuff. No, they're kind of working the same. They're going to some cubicle somewhere if they're not remote, which they're getting rid of those people. And I'll touch on that later. But like, they're not, they're not going after fat cats, and those people are all donors, the politicians themselves. So it's misdirected anger, but the blob controls where the anger is directed. So they're controlling it to be directed towards the federal employee when it should be directed towards the blob. So they're not going to take their own. They should be taking the heat, and they're not. So that's one aspect. It should be done with a scalpel, not a meat cleaver, rather than just chopping things off. And it should be done with a full understanding of everything these things do. So like USAID took a huge, they're like the villain of the week. And I'm sure Department of Education or one of them is probably next. But there's probably things that USAID does that when you go back a couple layers, realize why they do these things. So people just look on the face, $2.5 million for transsexual parade in Bangladesh. Like, okay, let's go back a couple layers and see what that actually is and why it's being done. Yeah, is it ridiculous? Of course. But no one wants to acknowledge the elephant in the room, which is DOD. They've so far been untouched. They built the Navy has an aircraft carrier that costs $700 billion. It hasn't even been. It's just sitting there.
Yeah, there's another ship too.
Yeah,
I think it was one of the two next gen destroyer, not destroyer ships. It was another next gen ship. It's the one with it's got the two, it arches over the water,
like two hulls.
Yeah. And they're not using that. And I think that was 150 billion.
Oh, they
won't even scrap it.
Yeah.
It's you're not going to use it. Why not at least get the scrap metal out of it?
Right. It's just going to sit there and
put it in another ship.
And here's the thing. To maintain those vessels, even mothballed, costs money. So they still have to be maintained. They're still costing money to just sit there not being used.
And you've got usable part, what about the nuclear reactor in it?
Yeah.
Or the engine, or whatever is in there. Use it. Use it in the next one.
Hell, even a crackhead will go in there and take all the copper wire out of it.
Right.
Right.
That's what we really need to hire crackheads.
Yeah.
And they can get the demo done quick.
Yeah.
And they get more crack out of it.
Right.
We got crack. I'm sure DEA has some spare crack that they confiscated.
Yeah. If you talk to certain people, the CIA invented crack anyway.
Yeah. I mean, so you can. That's free labor.
Yeah.
You give them the free crack you got, they give you all the copper.
Everyone wins.
Goddamn.
And then other crimes go down throughout the neighborhood because they're busy.
They're not vandalizing the other buildings in the area because you gave them work.
Here, go on the ship and get all the copper out of it.
Make crackheads great again.
But so you have that. The Navy has an entire class of ships. One actually a couple of years ago was at the Naval Academy, and it was an open house, so anyone could just go and board the ship and see what was going on. It was pretty cool. But I think Northrop Grumman built this ship, and it was I forget, Littoral class something. So essentially, it's a ship designed to operate in brown water, not the big blue water Navy ships, but it's a smaller vessel. Complete failure. They don't work. They're always broken. They're capable of these crazy top speeds, but if you take it to that top speed, you can't use it for it needs 3 months of maintenance. So, look at that stuff. Do we need that thing? Do we really need it? But they've been very clever. If you criticize the military or defense contractors or defense spending, then you don't support the troops. No, I support the troops. If you go against their wars, you don't support the troops. No, I support the troops. I support them the most by not sending them to get their guts blown out.
Well, you know who really doesn't support the troops? The military.
Yeah.
We send them overseas. We give them shit accommodations.
Yeah.
We don't give them. We have generals that probably don't follow actual battle protocols, and don't listen to the field ops.
Yeah.
So you like it's funny. Like I thought it was interesting. People were upset that Trump was firing some higher level generals. They got to understand though. Some of those higher level generals haven't seen the field in a long time.
No, these guys aren't George Patton.
No, and a lot of them, they get to that point. So it's very similar to any other organization. The more education you have, the higher up you can go. That includes generals. So a lot of these guys, they have, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this, but they're book war smart. Because they've gone to Air War College, or they've gone to other military academies to learn about war.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, every war is different. So yes, you should learn from past wars and past strategies and learn from your opponents and all of that stuff. I understand how book knowledge is worthwhile. The problem is in wartime, if you're not willing to adjust what the ground is telling you, you are not an effective war general.
Yeah.
And a lot of the generals in D.C. that communicate to the higher levels of the White House and some, they actually, it's not like you're talking about these guys came up through enlisted, then officer. They started as officers because they came in after college.
Yeah, they went to an academy.
And it's always been book learning. And they went through training, don't get me wrong, but sometimes, and I feel like especially in war, having been shot at probably helps you see things a little bit differently so that you can then be a field general.
Yeah.
Rather than calling the shots from a Washington or the green zone in Iraq, you may need to listen to your field generals telling you, we can't move forward because of this, or let's move forward now before this regroups. Or, and there were a couple of, I forgot which movies and books, but they were basically saying how badly even the Iraq wars were managed by the generals holding back or pushing forward too soon. And so I really thought it was interesting. So like when they announced that Pete Hegseth was the new DOD head, they were just, all the people on the left said was they put a Fox News guy in there. Okay, they didn't mention the guy had been, I think he did 2 or 3 deployments in Iraq. Yeah. The guy was a military member who actually served in war.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I'm not saying, I don't know if he was a Navy SEAL or a Ranger. I don't know what his qualifications were outside of that, but the guy was deployed at least. And what is an operations type unit.
Yeah.
So to say he was unqualified, I think, was really unfair to him. And then, of course, they went after his personal life and all this other shit to try and make him seem unqualified as a human being. After they couldn't make him unqualified as a soldier, they then went after him as a human being.
Yeah.
Right? But regardless, as far as the area, I don't think people realize that it's not just the 300 or so thousand feds that get affected. Like you said, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed, Boeing, all of the defense contractors are around this area.
Yeah.
And they have civilian employees, not just people welding ships together.
Right.
In fact, those guys are usually on the coast somewhere else.
Yeah,
I think Maine is one of the biggest shipbuilders in the country.
Yeah, then there's New London, Connecticut, which is like where all the submarines are.
Right.
And then there's Norfolk, which they're big shipyards down there.
So if you start to cut funding, not just funding, and I'm not saying the federal government should be a jobs program.
Yeah.
But it does help the government put money into circulation.
Yep.
Which keeps your economy going.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the stuff. And so I'm actually going to get to the plan that I thought would have been the most useful to reduce the federal workforce in a minute. But if you decimate an entire area, it'd be equivalent to what happened to like the Rust Belt.
Yeah.
when all the auto factories went down, except now multiply that by 10.
Yeah.
Because you're not only going to affect the DC area. You've got 100 or so thousand federal employees in Pennsylvania, Virginia, outside of the DC area.
Yeah, West Virginia.
But then Georgia.
Yep.
Like if you go and look at federal employees by state, there's a couple of states that have over 150,000 federal employees.
Yeah.
Now they all do different things, right? And people are, oh, good, they should be on the field. No, they're not all doing field shit.
Yeah.
Like the federal government years ago spread out. Mm-hmm. Now, don't get me wrong, DC was always going to be DC.
Yeah.
But if I would have told you that only 10% of the federal workforce was in DC, would you have believed me?
I would, yeah.
Well, you would,
because my dad worked for the feds too. So
right.
I knew he'd travel all over the place doing Fed stuff with other feds in other, like Pembina, North Dakota.
Right. Well, and so like my whole, like when, of course, in the Twitterverse, it's always like fire them all.
Yeah.
Okay, buddy. When your mom needs her Social Security sorted out, you want someone to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And the funny thing, when you were talking about it takes 6 to 8 weeks, see, I don't see that as someone not doing their job. I see that as them not having enough people to do the job.
Yeah.
So a lot of these, and that's
or poorly structured. Like how many?
Very much so.
You might have the one guy that does the thing, and then 14 layers of freaking administrative approvals that need to happen before he does the thing.
This is where I'm going to out myself. I'm not going to say which department I work for, but I am a federal employee. And for all, oh, you're doing a podcast. Okay, we do this podcast outside of work hours.
Yeah.
All of our social media posts are automated, so I don't do any of this on work time. So calm your fucking jets. It's my personal time.
Yeah.
I can do what the fuck I want. All right. I will say that 90% of any slowness or mistakes come from IT systems that suck or protocols that were put in place. I'll try to word this right. From bureaucrats that don't know what the fuck they're doing. Mm-hmm. And when I say bureaucrat, all right, this is what I'm talking about. So when every presidential candidate comes in, they assign the big names, right? The ones that go in front of Congress and they have to be, grilled on shit about it's all dumb, it's all theater, whatever. But underneath them, every division department, a lot of them usually have another political appointee. And these people are what I essentially call favors. It's so usually with Democrats, it's usually a union representative who, the union helped them get elected. So we're going to repay the favor and we're going to give this union rep a job at XYZ.
Yeah.
And they're considered the political appointee. Mm-hmm. And of course, when they come in, they want to, they think they know everything.
Yeah.
And well, I'm going to make it better.
Yeah.
By doing this. And they of course make it worse. And the career civil servants just go about it because if they go against that, the political appointee will, through channels will make your life shit.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, the juice isn't worth the squeeze.
Right.
I always thought if Elon wanted to actually make the government more efficient, could have dropped down a lot of levels to find the people who are actually pressing buttons and doing stuff.
And ask them.
Yeah. Because 100%, they've either already said it and got shot down, or know if they say it, they're going to get shot down.
Yeah.
And just don't want the hassle.
Right.
You would 100%, 85% of the time, you would find the right fix.
Yeah.
Now, could you implement that fix? Don't know.
Right.
Two, let's go to IT systems for a second. So I've been in the federal service for about 19 years. I've been through iterations of software to do what we need to do. We went from a really good software program when I first started, but it wasn't ours. It was another agency made it. So it was still a government system, software system. And it was made for them for that purpose. And we were doing essentially what was the same job, but in a different department. So we saw that and we said, yes, we want to use that. We're a new department. We don't have the money to pay for a brand new system. This one works great. Let's use it. Great. Yeah. We essentially had to lease it from them. So it cost us some money, but it was less than creating a new software system. Okay. And of course we cheaped out. We didn't buy all the modules. We didn't lease all the modules. So we didn't get the full functionality.
Well, we didn't buy one of my favorites is we got this new program, but we're not going to buy the support.
Right.
So it's gonna last for a year.
So imagine buying half the system.
Yeah.
So you can't do all of the functions.
Right.
So now and this is not uncommon. They'll buy it half-assed rather than buying this system was great. If you used the whole thing, it was great. You could do all of the functions that you need to do. And a lot of people that don't know, a lot of business software, it's done in modules. There's the base of it, and then there's the add-ons that kind of and then all the modules can work together through the base, right? Well, we essentially bought the base and like 2 modules and left 6 of them out. So then we ended up having to create ways to do what those other 6 modules did, but didn't interconnect with the system.
Yeah.
So now you're doing like a manual process to make sure it all to make sure that all of the information was now. So we were basically taking IT data, having to write it out manually so that it meshed up with the manual stuff we were doing, so that we would have a complete file folder. Like this is what I'm talking about, the inefficiency.
Yeah.
Like it made it, and it made it so we needed 10 extra employees because it took that much longer.
Yeah.
When the actual whole system was there.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have to. We could have done the job with half the people if we would have just bought the whole system.
Right.
Okay. Moving on. In someone's infinite wisdom, they said, we don't want to lease it from them, so we're going to create our own. Well, is it going to be cheaper? No.
In fact, it's going to cost more.
It's going to cost more. But it's going to be great.
Is it going to work better?
It's going to be great. Yeah. Don't talk back. It's going to be great. I'm telling you right now.
No questions.
No questions. So then, but these people didn't understand how these IT contracts work. And this is where I'm going to get to the crux of the matter. You put out the specs. You put it out for requests for proposals. You pick the lowest offer.
Yeah.
More times than not. You then get the system. Here you go. Grand opening. Okay. Thank you. But this is broken. This is broken. This is broken. This is broken. I'll put it to you this way, and I'm not going to say which system it is. We just recently started a new system. I would say we put it in place about 10 months ago. As of today, there are 1,000 what we call data change requests. 1,000 things need to be fixed that we know of.
So it's been there for 10 months, 1,000, so that's 100 a month.
And that doesn't include what's already been fixed.
So like 3 a day have been...
We told them it wasn't ready to go live. A bureaucrat said, we're putting it live.
Yeah.
Make it work. So this is where the make it work things happen. It takes more time and effort to make it work than if you would have given me the proper system to begin with.
Yeah.
So here I am. I am the forward-facing person. I am the low person. I'm the person everyone thinks is leeching off the government. Meanwhile, I got hired to do a job. I get paid to do a job. I do the job with the tools that are given to me. Am I doing it the most efficient way possible? Yes. With the tools that are given to me. Could I be way more efficient? Could we reduce our staff by half? 100% we could.
Yeah.
100%.
Yep.
If you gave us the proper system to do, like, and this is, and it's not unique to me.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, you go to Social Security, you go to other agencies, you can go to every single, you can go to the military, I bet. I guarantee you someone else in those departments has the same story.
Yeah.
This is the second shot at it, at the system that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So we went from that original system that was just fine. If we could have just leased that whole thing. Now keep in mind, we'd be leasing it from another government agency. Yeah. Why are we leasing it from them?
Yeah. Why don't they just say, here you go?
You're paying for it twice.
Yeah.
Like that agency paid for it. Now we're paying them for it. Why do they need revenue from us?
Right.
It's two government. It's the same piggy bank.
Right. It's all coming from, it would be like if my wife needed $20 and I'm like, here it is. And then she goes, can I have my $20 back? It's coming from the same account.
Right.
Like,
so we had the system that we needed 19 years ago.
Yeah.
They created a brand new system. We left that system to go to this new system. Mm-hmm. So this is my third system in 19 years. That's not a lot. Yeah. I don't think it is. It's more than reasonable to ask me to learn 3 systems. And I'd be happy to do so if the systems were better each time. We went from really good to this is god awful.
Uh-huh.
Like this is the worst IT system I've ever seen.
Right.
For me to do my job. And people, well, you got to say something. I have plenty of times. I've shown I'm the one who had to write up the SOPs on how to basically get it, to tell people click by click how to do the job with the flaws in it. Mm-hmm. So basically, I was in the test environment and I would go through and I would run through it at every level. So there's like 7 different levels of user, and each one sees different things. So I would get a user access for each one, and I would go through and I would write down click by click how to get through the system, where the errors were, and that kind of stuff. The amount of times I had to write something in the SOP to get around a system failure, was crazy to me, right? And the worst part of it is that there are still some functions that aren't available to me in that system that I need for just my part of the job. Mm-hmm. That I've been essentially told will never be there.
Yeah.
So now you have to take that function and make it completely manual outside of the system. And we're talking about, and it was some pretty basic stuff, right? So, okay, I don't want to get too far in the weeds, but you get the idea of what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
So some people who thought they knew better spent more money to get a worse product.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the people providing that product, though, the contractors. Mm-hmm. People don't really understand. Like a company like IBM provides systems for the U.S. government. Even Google, Apple, like all those big tech companies, they provide services to the U.S. government. 9 times out of 10, they're scaled back. For example, a lot of people have iPhones in the federal government.
Right.
It doesn't have the Apple App Store. Mm-hmm. It doesn't, like, I can't even listen to our podcast on it because they took off Apple Podcasts. Like, I can't listen to a podcast while I work.
Right.
Like, I have a fairly computer-intensive job.
Yeah.
You don't think I can listen to the radio and do my job at the same time?
But you can have an analog, just regular over-the-air radio.
Right. I can go. The weird thing is, like, I can go to iHeartRadio on my computer and use that.
Yeah.
But I can't listen to Apple Podcasts. Like, it's wild to me.
Yeah.
Like, you lock this thing down. So, again, you get the software, but it's got one hand tied behind its back.
Yep.
It's like, and people, well, you're going to complain about having an iPhone. And okay, I understand. But Apple Podcasts isn't a security threat on my phone.
Yeah, it has no. It's almost like, so back in the day, like California Highway Patrol would order police cars, and they would take out the AM, FM radio from the dash. We don't want them listening to music. So they'd pay more money to remove that. It was a delete, and it was actually an option, and they'd have to pay more money to do it. A good friend of mine is a cop with a local department, with a city department. And when they switched over to the Explorers, they came standard with Bluetooth. Well, some dipshit administrator was like, oh, I don't want them driving around talking on the phone all day. So they deleted Bluetooth. They deleted the Bluetooth out, which cost more money. It was an option. They'd go in, Bluetooth delete. They'd have to pay like $500 per car to go in. And essentially all they're doing is going into the computer of the car and telling it, turn this off.
Right.
So, but the guys were like, okay, well, we have to be on our phones to do our jobs. So we can't, like, we're going to be pulling people over for not using hands-free devices. In the city-owned vehicle, we have hands-free devices that you deactivated. And then some of them, when they deactivated, it also deactivated the backup camera.
Right.
So it's like, but some idiot who's not thinking 2 or 3 steps down, like, what are the second and third order consequences of this? Because, I'm not giving them that luxury item. They can suffer like everybody else. Like, that's dumb. It's there. It comes with the car. Use it.
Right.
But
I mean, is the person going to just, if they're talking on the phone all day, let's say that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're talking to their wife all day.
Yeah.
Which no one wants to do that. It's torture. But let's say that's who they're talking to all day.
Yeah.
You think when the radar gun goes off that they're not going to say, oops, got to go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And chase down the person? They're still going to do the same thing.
You're going to go do your stuff. You do the things. It makes zero sense to do that. But some idiot can go say, well, this is what we did. You did something dumb.
Well, you know what the officers are going to probably do? At least this is what I would do. I'd go get a little Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah.
I'd put it in my passenger seat, and I would play my phone through that.
Yeah. Or they're just going to talk on the phone illegally.
But the thing is that then they can't also listen. Like, everything's on the phone. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some pretty remote places where I'm thinking more like state officers.
Yeah.
Where they go and they sit in the median and they've got the radar set and they don't have to pay attention to the traffic. The radar gun will alert them.
Right.
When someone goes over whatever the set limit is, right? So of course their heads, you're going to put them, what are they going to stare at the same 5 trees all day? You're going to put them to sleep.
Right. But what's the difference if they read a book?
Right. Let them read. They could read a book, listen to a podcast. They could listen to this podcast. They could.
Yeah.
But disabling the Bluetooth isn't going to stop them from doing whatever they were going to do.
No.
It just isn't. So you just paid an extra $500 per car for nothing.
Right. So
you just increased cost.
Right. So you ordered 100 cars. Now you just paid, $50,000 to eliminate an option that benefits the people using it, that comes with it, and to say you did something. So there's some, where are you, DOGE? Like, go get that stuff.
Well, this goes to my point, and I'm not saying all of them, because I've had been some really good political appointees that I have had the privilege of working with. Mm. They're few and far between, though.
Yeah.
Especially when you get down to the level where I am.
Yeah.
They're not like the top ones, like the gnomes and the whatever the treasury guy is, and the other, and the Hegseth guys. Like, those are political guys through and through for the most part.
Yeah.
But as you get further down, again, this is just people. They worked on a campaign. Like they're good at knocking on doors and getting you elected. Mm-hmm. They don't know anything about Social Security benefits.
Right.
But they're going to be in charge of some lower division within Social Security Administration. Mm-hmm. And they're going, and because they don't understand that they don't know anything, because they have a real high opinion of themselves, they're going to go in and try and make all these changes.
Yeah.
Now, there is also a second layer to this. Every single political appointee, right before every election, presidential election, they all submit their resignation to the president. Mm-hmm. And that's because when the next president comes in, they can either accept or reject those resignations.
Yeah.
And that's the political appointees. Now, also, I mean, the incumbent can also accept or reject them as well if he wants to remove people. It's how they stay more fluid, and you can't really overstay your welcome.
Yeah.
Some of those people, what they'll do is they hand in the resignation. It's usually about 3 months ahead of time. They hand in the resignation, but then what they do, they create a new position, a federal civil employment one, at like a GS-15 level.
Yeah.
And then miraculously, they take that job and leave the political job empty.
Right.
So now they don't have to resign. Mm-hmm. It's called, and there's the term for it is called burrowing in.
Right.
If you were looking for cuts, and look, I am not a fan of firing anybody. However, Susie, the admin person at USAID, was not the deep state.
Right.
A couple levels above her might have been.
Yeah.
That actually made a decision. Susie, the admin person, was just doing the job she was hired for and has no idea that what they were trying to have her do was a CIA front.
Yeah.
And for all the people, like, look, I 100% understand, and I don't work for AID, I don't work for CIA, I don't work for any of that. But AID was a two-front organization. One, yes, it was to provide humanitarian aid and get the United States to create influence with foreign countries.
Yeah.
A lot of the things they do are actually really good. Mm-hmm. Like whether it's studying malaria in Africa, studying infant mortality in Nepal.
Yeah.
I know for a fact those exist. I used to work at Johns Hopkins. I used to take AID grants. Yeah. And we're going to get to that part in a second because Elon made a comment about the administrative holdback from them. Mm-hmm. We'll get to that. Don't let me forget that. The money used, and this is how the CIA connection comes in. Essentially, if I can set up that humanitarian mission in Nepal, I can also embed a covert operative in that country with a cover story. Mm-hmm. It allows me to have intel on the ground.
Yeah.
Now, are they still doing that humanitarian thing? Yes, they're an active participant in the project itself. They're still part of doing, but they also might disappear for a couple of days.
Yeah.
To go do whatever else they need to do. Mm-hmm. That's how that all works, and it's intertwined, right? We're going to insert United States interests covertly through this program.
Yeah.
Now, are all of those programs great? No. I mean, did we really need a Sesame Street in Egypt that only got 200 views per show for $50 million? No, probably not. Yeah. It was a failed experiment. I mean, the government also has a problem of not cutting off funding for shit that doesn't work.
Yeah.
We just keep funding it in perpetuity.
Right. Well, let's say government programs never go away.
Right. But even though someone says, well, it only got 200 views, you don't know what the covert reason was for being in the country.
Yeah, they tried to create so like Twitter is illegal in Cuba. So they went in and ran through back channels in the back to create a Cuban Twitter. Yeah. Because they were trying to overthrow
Castro, is that right?
For whatever reason, they still hate that guy. He died peacefully in his bed, by the way.
This little island.
Yeah.
We're going to tank that shit.
Yeah. But like,
meanwhile, we could back in the day, that was a tourist haven.
Oh yeah. That was
in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
The mafia was going to make that Vegas.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And so they wanted to be able to do the same thing they did in Egypt and Lebanon and all that with the Arab Spring, because that was all sown by CIA ops and rent a mob and all this other stuff they did.
People don't know the CIA in Cuba. The CIA was working with the mafia because the mafia had a foothold in there.
Yeah.
Like, people don't really realize that it was that deep and covert.
Yep.
Go ahead.
But yeah, so like that's what they want to do there. So like it never really took off. They spent millions of dollars on it, and and they put it out like, hey, install this. So like, if there's a hurricane, you can talk, get information and all this other crap. And it never was successful, but they spent a ton of money on it. So there are things where they're trying to influence other countries to do things that are favorable to the United States. That's not bad. Sometimes it might be a little underhanded, but it's not necessarily bad.
Well, if you don't think these people are devious, in our lifetime, so people our age might not remember Cuba. We weren't even born.
Yeah.
But we all remember the Haiti earthquake. Mm-hmm. The amount of corruption that flowed through Haiti from the U.S.
Oh, yeah.
was a basic giant money laundering scheme. Like, U.S. dollars went in and didn't help Haiti and still came out.
Yeah.
And ended up in a lot of people's pockets.
Yeah.
That's how corrupt this shit is.
Yeah. And I think we're dealing with the same thing. And another thing about Haiti is that, so there was a big slave revolt back in it was like pre-American Revolution, but like that time period. And it was brutal, and it was actually successful. The slaves won. French government comes in heavy-handed and then says, okay, you have to pay reparations. So you slaves who are now running this country now used to be property of French, French billionaires, essentially their version of billionaires and millionaires. So because all of you used to be property, you've deprived them of their property, which is you. So now you have to pay them. You have to essentially pay for yourself. Mm-hmm. I think the last payment was made in it was like prior to 2020, maybe right after 2020, of millions of dollars to the French government in reparations for the slave revolt. And everyone's just like, oh, ho hum, okay. And it's funny because all the wokesters were all crying about this. You've got reparations going the wrong way, right? In our own backyard, not saying shit about that. Imagine if that money had been used to build up Haiti, to actually, like that would have been a wiser use of the money. But yeah,
isn't that some woke shit though? Demand reparations and end up having to go from the black people to the white people.
Yeah,
like what? Like what the? How did this get? Like, people in Haiti are probably like, how the fuck did this happen?
Right?
How did we get mind fucked into this?
Yeah, like why aren't you guys like out here protesting for us? Right. Like you're literally taking money to pay a government that, when this deal was established, was run by a king.
Like, could you imagine if reparations in this country is finally passed and it ends up that more white people got it than black people?
Yeah.
Dude, that'd be like, everyone would look around like, what the shit just happened?
Well, it would probably go to Citibank and BlackRock. And,
right. Somehow they were discriminated against.
Like, this is going the wrong way.
Like, wait, you fucked us over. Why are we paying you?
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute.
Like, everyone's taxes go up so that, all the big corporations. Well, we were injured at this point. Some weird trace back to, the Civil War destroyed our plantation. What? Sherman burned down our plantations. Now that plantation today would be worth several $1 billion.
Listen, on the Underground Railroad, you guys kept walking all over our cropland to get away.
Yeah.
And you ruined it. You owe us. Like, what?
But that's what's going on in Haiti. Like,
yeah. Right.
And granted, that I read a book about what was going on there, or it may have been one of Dan Carlin's podcasts. But that revolution was like no quarter given, and they sprung up once. I mean, they were like slitting throats of like little kids. I mean, it was brutal. But you can only oppress a population for so long before it.
Right. Eventually, someone doesn't want to get their throat slit.
Yeah,
and they will revolt.
Yeah,
and remember what's that saying? You always meet someone bigger and badder than you.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, you piss someone off enough, that anger adrenaline will kick in.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. So,
what was the one thing I said I wasn't going to forget? Just like 5 minutes ago, because I forgot. Because if I forgot, I'll move on to something else.
Yeah, I got something too.
All right. Do you want to know my solution? And this is why I think reducing the federal service isn't the real goal. Mm-hmm. The goal is to reduce it by 300,000, which is approximately 10%. Mm-hmm. I'll say 12. 10, yeah. It's between 10 and 12%, right? What if I told you that they could do it tomorrow? And it would be less cost than any lawsuits. There would be no anger. Mm-hmm. There would be no fight back. And it wouldn't hurt the local economy. Would you think I was lying to you?
No, only because I know there probably is an easy button here that everyone's just like, it's huge and it's red and it says easy on it, just like the Office, and they're just like all around it.
Yeah, looking all around it.
Yeah. So, yeah, just because of the absurdity of it, yes, I believe you.
Okay. For people that don't know, the federal workforce is actually fairly old compared to any other industry. Young people have not gone into federal service for whatever reason. Mostly probably because of pay. Mm-hmm. It doesn't pay very much at the lower bands. And they've been trying to downgrade certain positions so they do get paid less. So imagine a welder who gets paid like $120 an hour. I think that's what a welder goes for. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Or a mechanic. Let's say you got a mechanic. I know a mechanic gets $110 an hour at their own shop. Imagine trying to pay that auto mechanic in the federal service, and you're trying to pay them $40 an hour.
Yeah.
Now people, it's not that big of a difference. Okay. Let's say it's $70 an hour.
Yeah.
All right. No one's going to take a 30% pay cut,
right,
to go work for you. And I think a lot of people think that, well, these people don't have the skills to go do something else. I promise you that's not true.
Yeah.
You essentially, the younger generation has kind of figured this out, where I don't have to take less money, especially in a good economy. Mm-hmm. Now, there are more layoffs coming, so I think that's going to wane a bit. You might see more kids kind of come in, but as a 19-year person in the federal government, I believe I'm the second oldest on my team. Mm-hmm. Maybe third. And
you guys have a 30-year pension, right?
So no, the pension is, and this is another thing people don't understand. The pension is only 1% per year. Now, I'm saying only, right? It's still more than a private sector job. I get that. It's 1% per year. So if you work 30 years, you get 30% of your salary. Oh. I think if you work 31 years, it ends up being 1.1%. You get a little boost for staying. Yeah. So if I were to work 20 years, it's 20% of my salary. As a pension, there's some other elements in there. We do get like a 401k match. It's a TSP for feds. You can get matched up to 5%. Mm-hmm. Now, private companies in this area, some of them match up to 12%.
Right.
So don't get me wrong though. I'm appreciative of it. Okay. So essentially my retirement becomes my 1% per year plus the annuity for my TSP plus I'm in the first system, I would get Social Security.
Yeah.
The CSRS system, they did not. Mm-hmm. But they get 2% per year.
Yeah.
So that was the trade-off. I probably make about 30% less, and I think that's the conservative number than if I were to work in a private sector job, doing what I do. Now that varies. I mean, some people, maybe an admin job pays a little bit more in the federal government than it does outside. I don't know, but for the most part, the professional help you're getting is paid less.
Yeah, I
did it for the security of it, which apparently is not a thing right now. But regardless,
right?
All right. My point was, you have 25% of the federal workforce that is retirement eligible today. Mm-hmm. If you offered 1 to 2 years of additional service, not pay them 2 years of salary, you're just adding 2 years of service to their service time.
Just decreasing their percentage.
Correct. So if I was if I had 30 years in and I was going to get 30% of my salary, this would give me 32% of my salary, which equates, for a lot of people, it equates to about $2 extra grand a year.
Yeah.
For $2 extra grand a year, you get 70% of the salary off the books.
Yeah.
Think about it. If I'm only going to get 32%, you're saving 68%, plus you're not paying for my benefits.
Right.
All right. If I could tell, I think 20% would leave. 25 would be eligible, but they still got kids in school.
Yeah.
They're paying for college, whatever there is. They still have a need to work.
Yeah.
And they couldn't just live off the pension and the retirement. So, but 20% would probably leave. I've just cut 500,000 employees. Mm-hmm. Job's done.
Yeah.
Your goal was 300,000. I actually did it and saved you even more money.
Yeah.
Now, what if I told you 10% of the positions right now are unfilled?
Right now, it's just
blank.
Yeah.
Didn't hire someone.
Yeah.
They're just open.
Yep.
But they're still budgeted.
Yep. They still go in there. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I've cut 30%.
Yeah.
I've just eliminated roughly 650,000 positions.
Yeah.
The difference is when you do it through early retirement, you're not turning that person from employed to unemployed.
Right.
You're turning them from employed to retired.
Yeah.
With an income.
Yeah.
So the spending doesn't stop.
Yep.
You need people to spend. Like the local plumber. If I go from employed to unemployed, I might put off that plumbing job.
Yeah, or you learn how to do it yourself.
Or I'm not getting my HVAC system checked twice a year.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for it to break.
Yep.
If I'm retired, I'm keeping my maintenance contract.
Yeah.
I'm going and getting every single thing done on my car.
Yeah.
I'm employing the landscaper. I'm still putting money into the economy. If I'm unemployed, I sure as shit, a lot of my spending's going to stop. My Amazon spending's going to stop. The small vendors are going to stop. I'm not going out to get coffee every day. I'm not.
Right.
I'm not doing. The local people in my area will get hurt. Now multiply that by 1,000.
Yeah.
So, and the funny thing is, some of these blue collar workers are the worst ones because they're the ones like, fire them all. Okay. Yeah. And you won't have a business in 2 years.
Right.
And someone's like, well, it's not a jobs program.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying if people lose jobs, it trickles down to service providers.
Right. Like, why did the Rust Belt go away? Mm-hmm. Why is it what it is? Because all those plants closed. And then when all those plants closed, all those jobs went with it. So the spending power of that community went down when the plant left.
Right.
So that's why it hurt everyone. They're like, oh, well, who cares if Ford closes down?
Right.
Ford employs your entire town. Like, they can understand it at that level. Yeah. But they can't understand it at this one. And the other thing is, talk about the pension, because, like, the dipshit will then say, oh, well, so we're just going to pay him to stay home then?
70% less.
Yeah.
And they're going to get the pension anyway, whether you fire them or not.
Yeah, and the pension's coming from the pension fund. It's not coming, provided it's solvent and all that stuff, but, like, the money that they contributed, the contributions to the pension fund, is what's going to pay them, not the regular revenue streams from taxes and fees and all that other shit. Mm-hmm. It's the pension fund, but they don't understand that either, because you just have a bunch of people running their mouths about, just talking out their ass about how, oh, fire them all, that's my tax money and all that. Okay.
So I've just doubled their goal. Mm-hmm. What if I told you I could triple it?
How do you triple it?
So currently, 25% of the workforce is retirement eligible. Mm-hmm. Within the next 5 years, that number jumps to 40%. Yeah. That's how old the federal workforce is.
Right, because I guess essentially it's populated mostly by boomers and Gen X guys.
Yeah. So now, instead of offering 2 years of service, offer 5. Mm-hmm. Again, it's the difference between 2% and 5% on a pension.
Yeah.
You're talking the difference between $2,000 and like $6,000 per year. But that's still a 30-ish% reduction in the salaries. I'm sorry, a 70%. I think if you do that, it's like 64. Mm-hmm. You can reduce 64% of the federal salaries, not including the benefits, the matches, not including any of that shit. Mm-hmm. You could reduce, if you got, and let's say you got 30% of them, plus add on the 10% of the vacant positions. Yeah. That's 40% of the federal workforce that would be gone.
Right.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And nobody would bitch.
No.
They'd be happy to take it.
Yeah. Oh, no, they're gone. Like, that's a friend of mine, his wife, which eligible to retire at the beginning of February. So she took the offer. So now rather than retiring in February, she's going to stop working and then be done September 30th. Mm-hmm. So she was going to just go. It's like, wait. So now there's probably a whole bunch more people in that same boat who are going to go. So,
well, there's another caveat to this. So by the way, we have now reduced the federal workforce. If you did Plan A, I'll be conservative. 500,000 people are gone. That's 200,000 more than you wanted.
Yeah.
If you do Plan B, you're probably upwards of like 650,000 employees, which I just more than doubled.
Yeah.
Your goal.
Yeah. But see, you don't get to strong arm people and push people around.
You don't get to mental warfare.
Right. You don't get to get clicks and attention on Twitter.
But within 60 days, I've accomplished your goal.
Yeah.
that you are struggling with because you're trying to do everything ass backwards and you're getting sued out the ass.
Yeah, and the thing, and that's again because a lot of people hate Elon Musk. I don't hate Elon Musk. I think he's obviously a smart dude. Mm-hmm. He's done, like he has a rocket that can land itself. Tesla, I'm not a big Tesla fan, but he has a car company.
It still brought electric cars mainstream, whether you like them or not.
Yeah. And I also think it's funny how all the, a couple of years ago, all the lefties were, look at their virtue signaling Tesla, as now they hate Teslas. So you people are clowns. But, but he doesn't understand that stuff. So you could be really smart at one thing. I could be an awesome neurosurgeon, right? And I'm a really good neurosurgeon, and I can cut your brain open and do all kinds of shit and make you better again. That's great. But I don't know shit about structural engineering. So why are you bringing? Well,
let's keep it.
Mike's really smart. Have him build that.
Let's keep it in the same family though. I could be the greatest neurosurgeon at cutting your head open, mm-hmm. but I could have the worst bedside manner. So I'm going to make you feel extremely nervous throughout the whole thing. I'm not going to be able to make you feel comfortable. And people are like, well, why do you need to do that? Because we're human beings.
Yeah.
What are you going to stress? You want to stress your patient out? No, no neurosurgeon wants to do that.
Yep.
So imagine if Elon Musk can create or organize creators to create great things and get really big things done. But he doesn't have human skills.
Yeah.
This is an instance where if he knew about human brains and psychology and all this other stuff and how humans interact and how they think, and he would know that this was the better way to go.
Yeah.
With the least amount of resistance. This is literally the biggest easy button in the history of easy buttons.
Yeah.
All you have to do is press it.
Yeah.
Now, I think part of it is they would have to get it approved by Congress.
Right.
But you also happen to have a majority in the House and the Senate, and I'm pretty sure you could get it by.
Yeah.
Because it would reduce the federal payrolls, reduces the federal workforce, accomplishes all your goals, and nobody would be mad at you.
Yeah.
Liberals couldn't be mad at you.
No.
Conservatives can't be mad at you. You literally hit the easy button and the win button at the same time.
Yeah. Well, and I think that some of that would come down to, because I know they vote against good legislation because they don't want to give a win to the other side.
Right.
So they could come up with a plan that's great they've come up with them in the past for immigration, say they haven't come up with this, but like this, for example, is another one, but like things that they come up with that are great solutions but then they have their party people, oh no, you're not, if you want to get reelected, you're not voting for that. That we can't give them a win. And that's their loyalty is not with the country, with the nation, with the people they serve. Their loyalty is to one themselves and to their party.
Yeah.
So you could put that up, and it would get passed on the Republican side, or whoever has a majority, whatever majority party put it through. It could be Democrats, but if it needed a couple extra votes from the other side to get done, oh no, you can't do that. We can't give them a win, which is insane, but that's how they operate because they're children. They're mediocre people is really what they are.
So I want to go into one more thing for Musk.
Mm-hmm.
The fork in the road email and the 5 points, what did you do? Emails.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The fork in the road email, and people were like, well, why is that such a bad thing? They're going to get paid to not work.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me explain something. For anyone who doesn't know, there is something called an OPM severance. Basically meaning if you were fired because of a reduction in force, and this is why they really haven't done reduction in force, the federal employee is entitled to an OPM severance. And for people, private sectors give out severances all the fucking time.
Look at all these asshole CEOs that
golden parachutes
run their companies and the entire nation's economy into the ground.
Right. So they were banking on people not knowing about it. I didn't know about it until I happened to stumble upon it.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks ago, just because I was curious. The fork in the road payment, which essentially meant you're on administrative leave until September 30th, which then you are then quitting.
Yeah.
If you were an employee I think with over like 10 or 12 years of service. And you had to make like, I think it was if you made like 70 grand or something or more. The severance payment was more than that quote unquote buyout, which it wasn't a buyout. But people, and they were banking on people not knowing that, which to me is really fucking deceptive.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to pull, it's like that's the definition of pulling a fast one.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to make someone make a decision before they know all of their options.
Right.
All right. That's one. Then there was the 5 bullet points. People are like, well, why didn't these people respond? Well, I got to do that with my supervisor. 100%. I'm not going to say 100 because nothing is ever 100%. I would say 90% of federal employees don't give a shit if they have to give a 5 bullet point thing to their supervisor.
Yeah.
So let's put that on the back burner. Here's the problem. The email comes from an email account that everyone knows Musk created.
Yeah.
Like it's an obvious one. Like, you can tell.
Elon at USA.gov.
More like I mean, it's an OPM email, but everyone like here's the thing: if you don't work in OPM, you do not get an email from OPM.
Yeah.
After you're hired, you don't get one.
Right.
You're each department has their own HR.
Right.
So if you worked at the Department of Justice, if anything, you would get something from HR at DOJ.gov.
Right.
You're not getting something from OPM.
Right.
Everyone knows what this is. All right. So one, outside of the chain of command, because he's emailing directly to everybody. Mm-hmm. He's not going through the chain of command.
Yeah.
You're asking them to give 5 bullet points to someone who they don't report to.
Right.
And it was like, well, you CC your supervisor. Okay, well, that's only one person in my chain of command. Now, you can argue the chain of command is too deep. Fine. But as of today, there is a chain of command.
Yeah.
So the way he should have gone about it was to send it to the department heads. Mm-hmm. Now, if the department head sends it, send it all the way through the chain and have it sent up all the way through the chain. So that was problem number one. Then that email never said, if you don't respond, it's equivalent to a resignation. The only place that was ever said was on Twitter, I believe. I'd have to check again.
Yeah.
Stop with this. If you don't respond, it's a resignation, because it's not.
Right.
That's an intimidation factor. Just like in the fork in the road one, it'd be a good idea if you took this, because if you don't, we can't guarantee your job. Okay. Why did that last statement have to be there? That's an intimidation tactic.
Yeah.
They're trying to coerce you into a decision. Now, look, if I've already seen you lay off 15,000, how many thousand employees at AID, you think I'm going to trust you? Because what happens if I send those 5 bullet points and you say, this isn't good enough, you're fired? And that's just part of it. The other part of it is, what if your department head said, well, I'll say what happened with mine without saying what happened. Got the email on a Saturday evening, by the way. So I don't work on weekends.
Right.
Sorry if you hate that, but I don't.
Right.
Saturday at 5 p.m. I get it. With a deadline of Monday at midnight. 11:59 p.m.
Yeah.
Essentially, you get 24 hours. Because let's say you didn't look at your email till Monday.
Right.
Like, you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
But let's say I got 54 hours from the time that I got it to the time that it's due. All right. In that time frame, so got the email Saturday around 4 or 5 o'clock. Sunday rolls around. We get an email from our department head. Hey, here's some guidance on how to respond, because the email had no guidance.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what part of my job do you want me to report on, right? I could give you 20 bullet points. Like, what is it you're looking for? Okay. Anyway, so then the guidance comes out saying, this is how you should respond. These are some examples. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Appreciate it. I like some guidance on what I need to give you. Sunday night, we get an email from the department head. Don't respond to this. We're going to take care of the response for everybody. Mm-hmm. Monday, an email reiterating not to respond.
Yeah.
Later on that week, Musk, again, tweets. If you don't respond, there's a million people who haven't responded. If you don't respond, it's a resignation. Okay. So
is Twitter now the official way to notify people of that?
And that part I don't know.
Yeah.
Like that. So the thing is like, I got an email saying to give 5 bullet points, approximately. Mm-hmm. I got an email with further guidance on how to do it. Mm-hmm. Well, what if I've already responded?
Yeah.
Because I got an email to respond. Let's just say I'm really efficient. I responded Saturday night. Well, then I get guidance on Sunday on how to respond. Okay. Do I resend it now?
Yeah.
Well, then I get one Sunday night. Don't respond. Well, shit. If I've already responded, now I could technically be considered insubordinate because I responded and then got told not to respond. Mm-hmm. Monday rolls around, don't respond. Shit, I responded.
Yeah.
So am I insubordinate to Elon or am I insubordinate to my department head?
Right.
Well, my department head's more in line with my chain of command.
Right.
Either one they could probably use to fire me.
Yeah. Can you even be insubordinate to some guy?
Don't know. I don't know. Technically, he works for the president. We all work for the president.
Yeah.
Then I got the email from the department head saying, don't respond. Well, after that, you got an email or a tweet from Elon saying, if you don't respond, it's a resignation. Well, he already knows people got an email saying, don't respond.
Yeah.
My point is, it's a fucking clusterfuck. Mm-hmm. Give me clear guidance. Like, and this isn't like Trump's Elon's a Trump appointee and the department head's a Trump's appointee. Right. It isn't a Trump appointee.
Right.
So you should go with the Trump appointee. Now, these are 2 Trump appointees giving me different fucking information.
Yeah.
Which one do I follow? Because here's what in my mind, I'm thinking, if I do one and not the other, they can fire me. If I do this one and not this one, they can also fire me. What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just trying to do my goddamn job.
Yeah. And all this is making it, is a distraction and is making it difficult. I'm glad I'm not in the situation, but being in the situation kind of by proxy, because a ton of friends.
Yeah.
I don't have any family that work for the feds, but a lot of friends, and then just being in this area. The other thing I wanted to touch on, as far as like when they made everyone go back to the office. So any of you clowns in the DMV who are yelling and screaming, I have to go in every day, so they should have to too. Okay, you know what? Now they're gonna be driving on the roads with you guys. So So when your post 2020 commute went from an hour and a half to 40 minutes, and you're like, oh, that's great, no traffic. That's all the people working from home, and now they're all coming back to work. Fuck you. You did this. You're cheering it on. You did it. There's no reason to have people driving into freaking DC when they can do that, when their entire job is done on the computer, to have them sitting in cubicles in some office building on Teams calls. It is, and they did it only to fuck with people. Mm-hmm. Some friends of ours, I think they are, I'm not sure what agency they work with, but they do smart people shit. They're scrambling to find childcare.
Yep.
Because they have little kids. Now they're both remote. Now they both have to go back in for no reason other than to fuck with them. And again, you're not fucking with the bigwig people, with the fat cats who you hate and who I kind of hate them too. You're fucking with the little people. You're upending lives. Why? To score points, to get tweets, to get likes and claps. Like, these are people who have, so now some little kid has to go sit rather than being at home. Oh, isn't this the family values type people?
Right. Right. The ones so now you should only have. Mom shouldn't have to work. Homeschool your kid.
Yeah. So now that was kind of going on, but oh no, now they have to go to like the daycare factory in the shopping center to be dropped off and raised by a stranger for 10 hours a day. So fuck you guys too. So that's kind of where I'm at with the whole thing.
My thing with remote work is this. There are some jobs that are made and really well suited for remote work.
Yeah.
And then there are jobs that aren't.
Yeah.
To just recall everyone, regardless of the job, is stupid.
Yeah.
Never mind the fact a lot of these agencies downsize their building footprint. So you have, and you hear Elon talking about vacancies that they can sell off. They already sold off one building.
Yeah.
In DC, they sold it. My thing is, if it costs you less and actually earned you money to sell those buildings, rather than bringing these people in, isn't that going against the Department of Government Efficiency?
Yeah.
Never mind the fact, all of these things that they've done, like that email, that whole 5 bullet point email timeline, that is the definition of inefficient.
Yeah.
Like, you can call yourself... The funny part is, Elon Musk had to join the government to become the most inefficient human being I've ever seen. It's the wildest thing ever.
Yeah.
It took him less than 30 days to be super inefficient.
Right.
Welcome to government. He talks about the woke mind virus. Well, you got the government mind virus.
Right.
And you got it in less than 30 days. They fucking whipped you into shit.
Yeah, you were indoctrinated quick.
Yeah. He's like, well, I fired all these people. Motherfucker, you fired... Susie Homemaker or Susie Admin Lady,
yeah,
and told everyone she was the deep state. Man, get the fuck out of here.
And the worst part is like you're playing into all the stereotypes.
Oh, dude,
like you're the evil billionaire.
But he loves it.
He might as well be Dr. Evil right now.
But he gets all the pats on the back.
Yeah,
everyone pats him on the back.
Yeah.
Oh, Elon. Yeah, Elon. This is what we wanted for years. Yeah. No, motherfucker. You wanted some of these fucking shit programs, like the whole non-government organization thing.
Yeah,
that's now showing like one of the Sheldon Whitehouse's like wife was getting paid out of this shit. That's what you were going. That's what you wanted rooted out.
Yeah,
go for that shit.
Yeah.
Susie making $60,000 a year is not what you. I guarantee no one voted for that.
No.
Some Twitter jock probably. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Someone who's
and then he's like, we're going to put him in more productive jobs in the private sector. Motherfucker, everyone knows people leeching off private companies that never get called out for that shit.
But here's the thing: some of these functions, because they're just blindly chopping it up, like, we can't do that anymore. So what are they going to do? They're going to get some fucking contractor to do it.
It's going to cost more.
It's going to cost more money. Like, stop! You got to play the long game. No one's playing the long. No one. Why does no one ever play the long game?
So this is fun. Whenever they do those salary comparisons, I'm going to give you some inside baseball here. Okay, so let's say Booz Allen provides admin support to an office. So basically, rather than hiring a federal person to be the admin assistant, they hire a Booz Allen kid out of college. Mm-hmm. Well, let's say the federal person was going to make $45,000, $50,000 a year as an admin assistant. And that kid thinks he's got, let's say, a $40,000 salary. Mm-hmm. Everyone's like, oh, see, it's $10 less.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute.
Right, stop.
That's what they're seeing. That's what that kid gets. Booz Allen's profiting off of this.
They're probably charging $80,000.
They're charging $65,000 to $70,000 for that position. So you're essentially paying $25,000 more.
Yeah.
Even though the kid's only taking home 40. Yeah. Booz Allen's profiting 30.
Right. Some billionaire
on
somewhere.
Each position.
Yeah.
That's how this shit works.
Yeah.
Now there's a guy who got the contract. He gets his money. Like it. I don't want to say it's a pyramid scheme, but essentially it is. It's like getting other people to do the work for you, while you get paid off of those people's work.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing with, like contract versus in-house security. Mm-hmm. You know, like, so some business, some MBA whiz kid comes in like, oh, we're going to cut the security department out. Well, then they need it. So they go for some contractor that comes, and you had actual employees of the company that worked there that had some loyalty, that had some pride in working for the company. You got rid of them, and now you've got your contract security guards that come in. So you were paying your people, $20 an hour. You're paying these people $10 an hour, and guess what? You get $10 an hour employees when you pay $10 an hour. The security company's charging you. They might even be, we can do it for less. We're going to charge you $15 an hour. And you're going to get a $7.50 an hour security guard. Mm-hmm. What happens with that? You're not attracting the best people at that hourly rate. Mm-hmm. And the only reason I do it is because I was in the business many, many years ago. So, like, what's happening. Like, I'm not hiring the best security guard at $7.50 an hour. I'm getting a $7.50 an hour employee. And, of course, today with inflation, let's make it 50 to the company and 25 to the employee, it's still the same math. But like, meanwhile, you had good people that were working there that actually cared, and you weren't just wasting money on somebody else's profit.
Yeah, and everyone's like, well, Elon did it at Twitter. He cut 50% of the workforce, and the app's just fine. Yeah, okay. The engineering of writing the app was done.
Yeah.
When you go into so a lot of the heavy lifting was done. The thing with imagine if they go and they haven't even touched Social Security yet, the employees. A lot of Social Security employees interface with the public. So when you call someone, you get a human.
Yeah.
Now, look, a 20 to 25-year-old might not think that's important, but a large portion of the population is older.
Yeah.
And let's say you've had to deal with anyone who's dealt with a parent and getting them to use technology it's almost a no-go. Mm-hmm. So they call, right? They're not going to use the web-based services. Yeah. They want a person. They want to call. That's how you're not going to teach them and get them to go online without frustrating the shit out of them.
Right.
And you shouldn't have to. But when they call, they want to hear a person. If you go to Social Security and you whack about half the employees there, a majority of them are going to be phone operators.
Yeah.
Or people processing the paperwork for people. When those people start to see slowdowns and responses, like you said, 6 to 8 weeks. Mm-hmm. Well, now what if it's 6 months?
Yeah.
It's like just because you don't interact with this now doesn't mean you're not going to interact with it later. And they keep saying, but it could be automated. It could be. You're not going to get older people to adjust like that.
No, they're not going to.
They can barely work a TV remote.
Yeah.
You're going to get them to go to a website, create an account, figure out how to do some self-service stuff. Like, ask the MVA how well that goes for older people.
Yeah.
Like, I can renew my registration online.
Sure.
I can renew my license online.
Yeah.
My mom can't.
Right.
Like, not without 12 hours worth of work for her. Mm-hmm. When she could just go 5 minutes and go in there and get it done. It's a public service.
Yeah.
You're not making profits on this.
Right. And that's one of the things where they say government needs to run more like government and business are two completely different things. And
government does what private businesses can't make money at.
Yeah. Yeah. And to go and say it needs to be run like a business, the motives are different. And here's the thing. Like Twitter goes and does its engineering, all that heavy lifting is done, is now it's just tweaking things and innovating a little bit and getting, but the basic thing is still, it's been the same since its inception, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the government, that work never ends, because when these old people get all their benefits and go through the thing and then die, guess what? There's one, it just keeps going.
It's repetitive, over and over.
It never stops. So, and then if you're going to have all these, like, we're doing 100% automated. Okay, well, now all the scammers come in and start sending texts to these old ladies, oh, there's a problem with your account. Send us your username and password and we'll fix it. Okay.
And for people that don't think that's legit, that happened
100%.
That happened to my mom.
Yeah.
My mom. She got fooled by one of these spammers are getting better.
Yeah.
They got her to get on the phone. She installed software on her Chromebook. And then she realized, well, wait a minute. Like, it clicked for her, but it doesn't click for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And they end up sending $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 of their savings to these people, never to be seen again.
Yeah.
Like, if you automate something like Social Security or something, if you think there's fraud, waste, and abuse now, know how many Nigerian princes are going to move from texting your mom to texting the federal government and getting Social Security benefits?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be through the roof.
Yeah.
Well, Elon will fix that. Elon will fix everything, apparently. Now, don't get me wrong. Everyone's like, you're an Elon hater. No, I am furthest from that.
Yeah.
I think Starlink is excellent.
Yeah. People
are getting up his ass about this whole Starlink taking over the Verizon air traffic controller thing. Oh, Elon did it just to get more contracts. No. That Verizon system was breaking down, like, badly. Mm-hmm. And Verizon, I think Verizon has been lobbying to renovate it and modernize it. But of course, maybe they're not lobbying. I don't know. I don't know what the whole deal is behind the contract. But
they should move the services to Ukraine, and then they'll just get whatever they want.
Correct. So essentially, Elon is saying, "Look, I'm going to give And Elon said he's giving this Starlink stuff for free, which he's done. He's done this before.
Yeah.
And I think it's only as a stopgap until Verizon can get the system right again. This is something, and this is infrastructure stuff. We don't spend any money on infrastructure.
Yeah.
Like, our power grid is shit. Our train network is shit.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't do big things because I will say that regulation is a large part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at that high-speed rail in California. Like, they were boasting that they got everything, all the track has been laid apparently now, or all the infrastructure has been laid. Yeah, it's only 10 years behind schedule. Like, it was supposed to be operational 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, that's not something you brag about.
Right.
Like, we over-litigate everything.
Yeah.
At the lack of benefit to the public. The reason why China, Japan, and look, I'm not a communism person, but at some point everyone's got to get their hand out of the fucking jar.
Yeah.
And let shit happen.
Yep.
Like, imagine if the Northeast Corridor actually had real high-speed rail.
Yeah.
The Acela train can only go 120 miles an hour on 50 miles of that track. That's it.
Yeah.
The rest of it's just an ordinary train.
Yeah.
But it's still a half an hour quicker from BWI to New York City if you take the Acela.
Yeah.
Imagine if it was all high speed from DC to Boston, and you could cut that trip instead of driving it and taking 7-8 hours, you could be there in 4.
Yeah.
You don't think that would create more demand?
Right.
And so Amtrak wasn't a leech on society? Like, sometimes you got to make things better to make more money.
Yeah.
Spend money to make money sometimes.
Yeah. Well, but I think that's a big shift. You know, Ford used to hire, or, you know, Boeing used to hire the top talent in engineering because they made money by making cars. Now they hire the top money, the top talent they look for is in finance.
Right.
Because they realize, oh, why should I make a good car when I'm going to make money off finance?
Well, and now we got doors flying off of airplanes.
Yeah.
Because they can't fucking put a door on right.
Yeah. Like simple stuff. But
so we had a little inside baseball in this one.
Yeah.
Don't get me fired, you assholes. Don't go looking for where I work. No, they will, if they listen. Long episode.
Yeah.
We appreciate you listening. You got any more before you close it out?
No, I'm good.
I didn't know if you had that one more thing.
No, I got it. I was complaining about the traffic.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
I hate traffic around here. What are we? I think we're number 2 in the traffic.
Well, that's the thing. Like, people who are yelling and screaming about this, like, people think traffic, they think New York, they think Los Angeles. We're right. Like, take a lap around the Beltway. And we live on the better side of it. The Virginia side's worse.
And I think Atlanta's worse.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, man, I'm telling you, just go online and just Google Federal Civilian Service by state. See how many live in your state. If you think it's just a DC thing, you're fucking out of your mind.
Yeah.
I just wish it was funny, man. Like, you go on Twitter and the MAGA people were like, "Oh, we love everybody. We love everybody." Well, now they won, and the MAGA bros are like, "Fuck everybody."
Yeah.
Like, what? Wait a minute.
They're just spiking the football.
Dude, it's wild out there.
Yeah.
Now, Twitter's not real life. That is 100% true. I get that. Because if I talk to, we've talked to liberals, we've talked to conservatives. Everyone is mostly civil in the real world.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the screaming people. You know what I'm saying?
No.
But if you live online or you look a lot of stuff online, man, these people are fucking wild.
Yeah.
But like, subscribe, comment, and share. I want to thank Adam Chubbuck. Adam's going to stick with us for another 6 months at least. We appreciate that from him. Please go to him. If you need any real estate needs, hey, I don't want you to be laid off, but if you do get laid off and need to sell a home, give Adam a call. He's going to make sure that he sells it for top dollar quick as he can, so you can right size your life with your new job. If you are getting a job in DC and you need a home, come on out to our area. It's kind of nice out here. We don't have that big old DC hustle and bustle, which is nice. Annapolis is a nice small city.
Yeah.
We're getting a little too trafficky on out here, but I think too many people are finding out. But you can come too.
Yeah. And if it comes time for me to sell my house, which I'll be doing through Adam at whatever point, keep coming because it's keep pushing the values up.
Dude, the house went up for sale in the cul-de-sac. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could not afford to buy a house in my own neighborhood right now.
No. I literally can't.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. I love the fact that people are moving here. I like people. I like the fact that people want to move here. It means this area is pretty good. But yeah, I couldn't afford it.
I don't think I can rent an apartment in the apartments down the street either. It's like
those 1,000 square feet, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. I think it's like $2,500.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I think it's 18.
Yeah.
For a condo. Dude, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Those condos 10 years ago rented for about $1,100.
Yeah.
Now they're $1,800. And that's not a lot of space.
No.
1,000 square feet. And I mean, it's not tiny, but it's not. You can maybe have a one kid, maybe 2 if you bunk bed them.
Yeah.
Who knows, man? We'll see what happens, though. We'll keep talking about it just because we will be affected by it. So this isn't woes to me. It's, hey, wise the fuck up and do this right.
Yeah.
Don't be government and government this up.
Right.
If you came from outside, don't turn into it. Bring your expertise and fix this shit.
Yeah.
But appreciate you listening. We'll talk to you soon.